Okay, so let's talk about, speaking of like Trisha Paytas and stuff. So if you guys don't know, something awful happened this week with the H3 podcast. And now listen, here's the thing. Let me make something very, very clear. I used to be a fan of H3. I used to love watching them because, again, I have a very messed up sense of humor. I have a very sarcastic brain. My brain just loves sarcasm. Like, I just love it. It makes me laugh. Okay. I'm very happy when I'm around people who are very sarcastic. Okay. But I started really getting into them when him and Hasan had their show, The Leftovers. And I loved that part of his show. I love that part of the H3 podcast. I just was obsessed with it, partly because of Hasan. Because, I mean, look at him. But I also loved their banter. I loved their points of view. I loved that they didn't always agree on everything, but it didn't feel like they were also like tearing each other down. It was just like, let's just have a conversation kind of thing. Yeah, a lot of people are guilty of it. And then when obviously October 7th happened, Ethan pretty much took a very hard stand of where he stood. And if you've been following Hasan long enough, you know that this is not Hasan's first rodeo talking about those times in the world. Okay. He's been talking about this for years. Okay. So this isn't like he woke up one day and found out about what October 7th was all about, like myself. Like, I genuinely did not know a damn thing. And I immediately was like, what is going on? Like, what's happening? Like, why is everybody talking about this? And I looked at it and I'm like, holy shit. Like, let's learn, let's educate ourselves today. Okay. So, and then if you guys don't know, which I don't know why you wouldn't know, but Ethan is Jewish and his wife, Hila, is from Israel. And they took a very hard stance on how they felt about the situation. And I think that it is very hard for people that are on that side of the aisle, I guess. It's really hard to defend a group of people that you grew up with and that they taught you how to talk about them. They taught you what they thought about your group of people. It's really hard to step away from, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's very hard to step away from what is familiar. It's very hard when you have an entire group of people that raised you, taught you, loved you, took care of you, taught you everything you know. It's really hard to step away from all of that. It's so hard, especially when that's stuff that you love. Like, I know they love being Jewish. I know that they're part of their love story has to do with Israel. Like, that has to be so heartbreaking to sit there and watch something happen and be like, holy shit, like everything that I grew up with and grew up on is like, it's like, I don't know necessarily the best word to say is like fake, but it's like, there's been lies left in there, you know? I gotta subscribe because the moment you turn on Ash Trevino, I'm gonna be ranting with you. Your points are on point. I need to look up more about Ash Trevino because holy moly, I've seen enough to make my brain want to split in half. And thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate that. So essentially what happened is let's just pull this clip up first.
We got a visit from Child Protective Services because I told this story on the show a few weeks ago about how when we adopted Olive, she had Giardia, and then the next day, Sonny started having diarrhea, so we suspected he might have Giardia, seeing as that he's an infant, he's crawling around, he's putting everything in his mouth, etc. Makes sense, right? It's obvious. So it turned into this whole snark narrative that our house is a mess, that there's dog shit everywhere, that Sonny is eating shit and getting Giardia, and that, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And well, it culminated in somebody finally, an anonymous call went into them on the 3rd, saying that they were somebody that works at the house, and they wanted to report us because our kids are crawling around eating dog shit and getting viruses. And they were able to provide enough details because of what I said on the show.
Okay, so the gist of this is that someone called CPS on Hila and Ethan. It's don't take your time with Ash. Sadly, mine was forced. Yeah, Ash is holy moly. I've watched a couple videos on her and about her, like long form videos on her, and man, oh man, she is a walking nightmare. Speaking of CPS, HP H3 CPS call was so sad, not gonna lie. Like, no children should expose with no reason. I think part of the CPS conversation that I don't like is okay, so if you guys again, if you're internet people, like especially on the Twitch half of it, Hasan just talked about how Valkyrie and some other Twitch streamers were at a carnival thing, and basically a stalker came up to them and kind of like attacked them and started getting really rowdy, and they were very scared and had to shut the live off and all this stuff. And the conversation that Hasan talked about, and Cutie Cinderella had talked about this on her podcast, that there are lots of scary ass fans out there. There are a lot of scary, scary fans. And fans is not even the right word. It's like stalkers, okay? They are scary, scary people. And they will go out of their way to do things for you. They will go out of their way to try to be near you, do whatever. They'll start threads. They'll start, Reddit threads and all this shit or whatever. And one thing that, Hila and Ethan bring up is this whole notion that a lot of the Reddit fan people that are on this H3 Snark page are Trisha fans, essentially. And what I have to say to that is that there's a couple things. One, Trisha has not spoken about that part of her life with them in a very long time. Not in a casual talk conversation, not on platforms, like nowhere. Literally nowhere. Her husband doesn't talk about it either. There's nothing out there that I've seen of recent. And again, I could be wrong. And if I am, literally point me in the right direction. I'm happy to look at it. In a while, they have not talked about H3 in any capacity with Hila or Ethan, none of that. But Hila and Ethan go on the internet literally every day and talk about her. At every episode, every single day. They talk about Hasan every single day. You don't think that any of Ethan's fans take shit too far and do and say and have done some obscene, scary shit or have threatened Hasan or Trisha in any way? That Ethan did not ask for anybody to do. Ethan did not say to do these things. But because you think you're such a loyal fan, you must protect you must protect that influencer. You must protect them, You don't think anybody's done that? Like, I guarantee you, if we talk to Hasan, like in private, because again, another thing that Hasan and Cutie Cinderella talked about was that what did they say? They said something to the effect of like, sometimes you don't talk about this stuff because it's acknowledging these people that are terrifying. And then, Hila and Ethan are like, Trisha hasn't said anything about it. Trisha hasn't come up. First of all, does Trisha even know? You guys don't talk. You guys don't talk. So how the fuck would she know that this happened to you? How would she know? Okay. Number one. Number two, there is a part of this world where Trisha doesn't acknowledge a lot of things with your podcast and with your show and with the two of you in order to not incite psychopaths to do stupid shit. Because she had a snark page that she got taken down, which Ethan brings up a billion times and basically makes it seem like, oh, well, she got hers down. Why can't I get mine down? It's like, I don't know. Take it up with Reddit. Reddit is disgusting and awful. And there's no point of even going on that page. There's no point of even going on the internet over there because they're fucking psychopaths. And for me, I feel like the more you mention them, the more you're kind of like egging them on. You have to like kind of ignore those people because they're psychos. And there's not much else to do. I heard Ethan just has issues with Moses. I might be wrong. Oh, no, he has issues with Trisha. He says some pretty nasty things about her, like very nasty things about her on a regular basis. And in these 2 clips, he says a couple awful things about her that are really, really fucked up. And I don't like that I don't like the insinuation that like Moses and Trisha had anything to do with this. Cause if they could have. Who the fuck knows? I don't know, obviously. Maybe they did. I don't know. But I think you guys have been on the internet long enough, like Ethan and Hila have been on the internet long enough to know that fans are psychos. And I've heard from multiple influencers on the internet that Trisha's fans are crazy. Like her fans are nuts. That doesn't always mean that Trisha is the one inciting the craziness with them. It doesn't always mean that she's telling them what to do. There's just some fans that just take it too fucking far and they're unwell and they think that they're doing something special and doing something great for their number one person. But that person doesn't even know that they're doing that. Like Cutie Cinderella had an episode on Wine About It with her co-person. And that person was stalked for 2 years. One of those years, she didn't even know she was being stalked because it was in her like emails, like buried in her emails, a bunch of these messages that she just stumbled upon one day. And she found that there was this guy that was emailing her for a year with no response back. Okay. She didn't even know she had somebody basically in love with her, stalking her, trying to get her attention. This is what I need like people to grasp and understand. It's like, there's not some like cult of people sitting down in the trenches, like getting ready to end Ethan's life that Trisha's like in this cult doing that. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Again, also, why are you guys making this a public situation? Like you have to stop because you're inciting your fans to defend you. And then you're inciting Trisha's fans to defend her. And you're inciting Hasan's fans to defend him. And there's no point. Like you're creating chaos. And also, we need to also understand that, especially on the Hasan side of it, we're dealing with actual psychopaths. Like Hasan's money is in politics. Like his bread and butter is talking about very dark things happening in our country with governments. Okay. FBI, CIA shit. Okay. Dark matter. Okay. Scary people. And Hasan does not have like the control power over them. If they have a mental illness and want to fucking defend him, like that has nothing to do with him. There's only so much you can do other than delete and get off the internet. Like, yes, like there are millions of ops that could have done that. Plus Trisha hasn't made any comment on them like that to the extent of a year. That's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure it's been about a year. He wants her to prey on her downfall so bad. But to be real, I think he just wants clout from her. Something that Hasan brings up a lot, because I watch like everything Hasan does because I have an ADHD addiction to him right now. It's a problem. But something that he talks about a lot is that Ethan's H3 podcast, he used to be a very leftist, liberal person. Like it was really amazing to see, because one thing I love is I love when I see a creator that started out problematic, struggle bus, acting crazy. Okay. And they turn it around and they change their life. They change their behavior and there's action behind it. It's not just a conversation. And that's why I've really loved Trisha's change in the world and the way she presents herself online. She's still funny. She's still silly. She still says out of pocket things, but she is not toxic anymore. That is one thing I love about her. She is not a toxic human anymore. And she has really changed her ways. And I know a lot of people are like, she needs to say sorry about this. She needs to say sorry for that. I'm over the sorries, because the sorries, I'm sorry, they mean nothing anymore from these people. The apologies mean nothing. I want to see you actually put the fucking work in. And from what I've seen from Trisha, for the most part, is I've seen a human being actually making change, putting action forth, not speaking about things that they shouldn't be speaking about, not making horrible comments, not going on the internet every 5 seconds and blasting shit. She even said the other day when she was talking about the Rosanna situation, she's like, you don't know how bad I wanted to get a video camera out and just rip her a new one on camera. But I knew that was not going to be productive, and I knew that wasn't going to make me look good either. So I screamed at my friends. I screamed at Moses. I took some time, and now here I am talking about it with a little bit more of a calmer reaction to it. That's massive for someone like Trisha. But you have Ethan, who's on a live podcast, might I add, no editing, and just won't stop. And you can see his crew's uncomfortable. You can see people around him are uncomfortable. And it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. That all being said, the fact that we're in a world where people are calling CPS is so disturbing to me as someone that has had to deal with those types of people, deal with those situations. That is so wrong. It's so like there's a special place in hell for people that call CPS that don't need to. Like Ethan and Hila are not bad parents. Okay. I don't like them, to be quite honest with you right now. I can't stand watching their content. It makes me very uncomfortable. I feel like I'm watching someone just like unravel in front of us on the internet. And I don't want to see that for anybody. I don't want to see people unravel on the internet. I feel like you need to if anything, you need to step away from the internet and stop the unraveling of it all. I think Ethan should step away from H3 for like a month and like take a fucking break for himself, not just for everybody else to have to watch the cringiness, but like you clearly have something going on within yourself, within your family, within your marriage, within everything going on. It's time to take a step back. Okay. And that's for him. His mental health seems to be struggling for so many different reasons. And not like, oh my God, he's a mental case. No. Like sometimes there's too much going on in the world. And it's a lot. And he's a live podcast. I feel like the people that do live content, hey, I'm doing live content right now, that do it on a daily basis and get this much shit thrown at them all the time. How are you not like in a white padded room, bro? Like, I don't understand. And, you can kind of tell in some of the videos that like Ethan and Hila kind of hint at that of like, why are we even doing this anymore? Like, if this is what we're at. And I feel like this is what we're at right now, regardless of Ethan and Hila's like feelings on a lot of things and conversations on a lot of shit. That's just where we sadly are at in general. Is like fans are not fans anymore. They're stalkers, they're psychos, and they're creepy, and they're dangerous. And that's where we're at. And the fact that someone thought it was okay to call CPS on these two, I'm sorry, I watched H3 podcasts, I think, for 2 whole years. Okay. Not once did I ever think that they were bad parents. Not once did I ever think they didn't love their children. Not once did I ever think that something was off about the way that they are with their kids, handle their kids. Like, I don't know, like, I just feel like you, for the most part, I think like 80% of the time, you kind of get like a little like, And trust me, there's enough people on the internet that I know who a bad parent is. Okay. I can tell real fucking quick. And again, there's a difference between like the person that like I don't enjoy their content and then like the parent. And I just don't think these two people are bad parents. I just don't. Not to the level that CPS needs to be called. And the fact that that happened is disturbing and sick. Not once did they show negligence either. No, never once have I ever seen them show negligence. To me, the situation, and again, I don't have proof to this, but for me, it feels like this is somebody who is a fan of probably Hassan's or probably Trisha's, and they think they're doing something good and they're not. They think that they're defending their creator, and they're not. And I guarantee you, I don't know about Trisha, because Trisha tries to stay out of a lot of shit lately. but I guarantee you Hasan is going to say something about this. Guarantee it. 105 billion% Hasan will bring this up because he is not going to support this. Like, this is something that Hasan talks about all the time too. Is like, he has the difference between Hasan and Ethan is that Hasan, again, has a very dark sense of humor, very sarcastic, blah, 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 which is one of the many reasons why I enjoy him so much. But he also has a sense of compassion when talking about Ethan, whereas Ethan has zero compassion for Hasan. Zero. And I said some pretty scary things about Hasan. Calling Hasan like a terrorist and stuff. Like, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Okay. And you're inciting terror to happen towards you because fans are unhinged. 100%. Does not support anything like this at all. Respect to him if he does come out and talk about it because this is a really big issue. Yeah, this is like an actual fucking problem. And I know from watching Hasan's content, honestly, he's probably just going to yell at his chat like he always does. He's always screaming at his fucking chat. But he'll probably just be like, if you had anything to do with this, get the fuck away from me. I want nothing to do with you because you're not a fan. You're not a fan. I mean, Ethan and Hila pretty much have pegged it on a Trisha fan. Again, this is alleged. But they are going to file a police report for a fraudulent CPS call. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that gets followed through. The other thing that they brought up, which I completely agree with them too, is that CPS has a very, very understaffed group of people doing the work. And these people are doing the Lord's work. Let me fucking tell you right now. These people are dealing with some of the most horror-inducing situations that you've ever heard of. The fact that CPS workers can go home at night and aren't just all full-blown drug addicts and alcoholics is beyond me. Like, I genuinely don't understand how they don't just like ask for like a blackout, like Men in Black blackout, so they can move on with their day. Like, I don't understand how they do that. And the fact that someone took the time from a CPS worker to have to do this, and now this person has to do all this paperwork, has to do all these interviews, all this shit. They have to go interview their sons, and you can tell Hila is so upset about that, and it's like, abso-fucking-lutely not. And it's disturbing because they're 5 and 3. Like, do you know how many times my son has said out of pocket shit? Then I'm like, today's the day. Today's the day they're gonna put me in fucking jail. I remember one time we were talking to a therapist and they were asking my son about his bedroom and they were describing it. And he was like, yeah, sleep on the floor. So I was like, so is jail that way or that way? Because my son loves to sleep on the floor. Both of my sons do. I don't know why. They both have beds, full on beds, okay, that they sleep in every single night, full blown bedrooms. They got it all. Okay. They're living the fucking dream. They both love to sleep on the floor. I don't know why. Okay, you guys, I don't fucking know why. They've always been, the two of them, ever since they've both been out of cribs, they love their beds are low to the floor because that's, for me, is a safety thing and for multiple other reasons. But they end up rolling off and just sleeping on the floor. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, why are you on the floor? And they're like, I don't know, I just like it. I'm like, okay, like the fuck? Like, okay. But that doesn't mean CPS should be being fucking called on people. Like, for God's sakes, like, we really, like, there are actual parents out there. There's actual parents on the internet right now. Okay, Ash Trevino, Kate, you brought her up. Those are the creators that CPS should be being called for. Those are the people that we should be calling CPS on, is Ash motherfucking Trevino. It's people like that are putting the most disgusting shit on the internet in front of their actual children on lives. This is what you want to do because you don't like their opinion, because you don't like how they're behaving? No, that's not how that works. You have never seen a proof or a sign of anything happening with their children, with them. But Ash Trevino, who puts on lives the way that she treats her children, puts on lives how she neglects them. We don't call CPS on them? I don't fucking get it. Get real, girl. Get real. A CPS worker has so many other kids they have to get to, like real kids in trouble. Yeah, real kids, like It's so bad, especially in California. Can you imagine? That state's massive. The beef is not that deep. Kids are kids, at least. You let them express themselves. Yeah. Oh no, I definitely let my kids express themselves. Sometimes I let them express themselves too much that I'm like, okay, mommy and daddy are gonna zip it. So it's just that's really, really disturbing and really, really sad. And I don't wish that on anybody. I don't wish anybody to have to even deal with the system in general, because it's a lose-lose situation. You could have the best CPS worker in the world. You could have the best people working with. You could have the best of everything. And there still is not enough. There still is not enough, because nobody wants to work in that field. They don't get the support that they need. They don't get the funding that they need. And the kids, it's like, if you want to get real deep, it's extremely racist and biased. And that's not on the CPS workers, that's the system. And it's sad as fuck. And the fact that we're wasting our time on Ethan and Hila because we don't like them is disgusting. It's gross and it's wrong, and there's no need for it. And for my feeling, unless proven wrong, I do not think that Trisha Paytas or Hassan Piker had anything to do with this situation in any way, shape, or form directly. Now, if one of their fans did it, that doesn't mean that they had any involvement in it. Fans are fucking psychos. It just is what it is. Oh, good mother. Thank you. I try.